Just look it all up. I'll be right there. What's your first name? Chris, I'll call you back in about 12 minutes. Take care. Bye.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report, and this is our Health and Wellness Hour, and joining us is Bob Vineyard of Pure Water Systems, and I tell people you need to listen to the experts, and we are the experts. There are pretenders to the throne, and they have no business speaking because they'll push Berkey's or all kinds of other water filtration systems, and there's nothing worse than saying that you've got clean water that tastes better, but it still has toxins in it, whether it's bisphenol A, endocrine disruptors, fluoride, radiotoxins such as cesium-137. What's the level of toxins that's acceptable? There's one answer that's right. Ding. It's called zero. Zero TDS, zero radioisotopes, zero fluoride, and zero toxic chemicals, birth control pill, chemotherapy, and doping agents for making microchips. How about that? Out of 10,000 chemicals, there's not one that's acceptable in your body because depending on your genetics and your prior toxic load, you're just asking for it. And the very first thing I tell people to do if you want to stay healthy is don't drink toxic water. Drink water that's clean. How can you detoxify if you're drinking water that's laced with radiotoxins, chemicals, bisphenol A, endocrine disruptors, fluoride, chloride, bromides, and all kinds of the nasties? Bob, tell us why your systems, which create lab water so you can do an experiment, why they're so superior to any other system, and why anybody that wants to even save money, you save 10% if you get a pure water system. Why would anybody get anything out of it? It's beyond comprehension. Plus, our whole host system is 1/2 to 1/3 the price of a Culligan or anything else. Easier to service, cheaper filter elements, and 1/3 to 1/2 the cost. I mean, really, this is what you need to do.
Well, hi, Dr. Bill. Always a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me. As you say, people are always wondering, well, how do I deal with this water issue? And they want to purchase a system that's going to get them where they want to go. And, to give them, I always believe any one of us buys something, because it gives us peace of mind on some level. But if you're buying a water system that doesn't include the appropriate technologies to remove all contaminants, then you can't have the peace of mind that your family is truly safe and protected from all these nasty things that are in the water. Sure, you might get a system that addresses contaminant X, and you might get a different system that addresses contaminant Y, but our system is designed based off of our laboratory systems. And in our laboratory systems, we are able to produce the purest water known to man. I mean, we can make it as pure as man possibly knows how to make water. And we sell these systems to research labs, analytical labs, places where they're manufacturing semiconductors. We moved down here to Portland. My next door neighbor used to work for Intel, and where they're making the chips. He tells me he worked in the area of the water quality. And what do they use? They use the exact same technology for making extremely pure water for their chip washing that we use, and that is carbon pre-filtration, because you want to get rid of the organic molecules, the pesticides, the herbicides, the byproducts of disinfection, trihalomethanes, haloacetic acids. Hey, guess what, folks? The byproducts of disinfection with chlorine or chloramines is carcinogenic. That's why they're regulated. It's one of the things that they do regulate, so that the utilities don't put so much chlorine in the water, and that it's reacting with the organic contaminants and creating these nasty carcinogens. So you use carbon filtration to remove these kind of molecules, because carbon attracts carbon-based molecules. So then the water goes through reverse osmosis. Now, like at Intel, they use 2 loops of reverse osmosis. They put it through reverse osmosis, then they take the purified water, put it through reverse osmosis again. But guess what? They don't stop there. Then they add, guess what? Deionization. What do the pure water systems have in them? Carbon pre-filtration, reverse osmosis, and deionization. We use the exact same technology in our residential systems as we use in our laboratory grade systems. The laboratory systems, all we do is we separate out. In those systems, we add ultraviolet because we've got to have the redundancy. Our system is going to remove those bacteria, cysts, and virus anyway because we have the 0.2 micron absolute rated filter. But in the research facility, we use the ultraviolet also to reduce the level of what we call total organic carbon, and that's not an issue in a residential system. So, it's the same technology, just scaled down, slightly different configuration that we use in our most sophisticated systems we sell to research and analytical labs. A lot of doctors' offices that just need Regent-grade water for their autoclaves and things like that, they get by with our standard system because it meets that standard of Regent-grade pure water, type 2 water. So, the thing is, only when you combine technologies. You can't get a water system that just uses carbon. I don't care if it's a Berkey or I had some guy, he sent me a dozen emails the other day, and he wanted me to compare all these different gravity-fed systems that use carbon or they use carbon and ceramics. Well, those aren't going to get you everywhere you need to go. Those are only going to get you part the way there. Are they improvement? Yes, they're an improvement. But does it remove all the contaminants? No. Those kind of systems are not capable of giving you absolutely pure water. Other folks want to get a distiller, and I say, hey, a distiller is not a bad way to go if you like using tons of electricity to make pure water, if you like to heat up your house to make pure water, if you like systems that frequently break down to make pure water, then yeah, by all means, spend 3 times as much as one of our systems and get you a distiller.
But even then, it's going to have the distillate toxic chemicals that will show up on the other side of the distillation process. So
and even a distiller, interestingly enough, asbestos fibers will pass through a distiller because they're so light, they'll rise up and float right up on the water vapor and come right back down in the distillate. So you can't count on a distiller to get you everywhere, to your destination. And what I call basic reverse osmosis, well, that leaves you totally vulnerable to nitrates, nitrites, boron, borates, a number of other chemicals, arsenate or arsenite. Which one does the reverse osmosis remove? Well, it removes one. Which one do you want to know that you found in your water? What if you've got them both? Well, you need a system that's going to remove all the contaminants. And so reverse osmosis alone, like distillation, gets you partway to your destination, but doesn't get you all the way there. And so only when we add deionization after the reverse osmosis process, now we remove all the contaminants. We add a 0.2 micron absolute rated laboratory grade filter to ensure that we remove bacteria, cysts, and virus. So if you have a boil water alert, if there's a flood and all the wells overflow, if there's floods and the water gets into the stream, and guess what? The flood might have happened in Nebraska. You live in New Orleans, and guess what? The flood from all the contaminants in Nebraska end up in the Mississippi River in New Orleans. So what are you going to drink? You're going to drink all those contaminants that washed out of the fields in Nebraska where they loaded it with nitrates and nitrites for fertilizer. So these things all reach everybody. Everybody lives downstream of somebody else. And so all these things, people take their excess, their leftover prescriptions, they dump them down the toilet. Well, you got places in Southern California, Dr. Bill, you talk about this all the time. They want to do toilet to tap. Or they want to take the sewer water and water the golf course. Well, that's all great and good unless you're a golfer.
Yeah, Los Angeles and Orange County.
And you pick up your golf ball, and it's been rolling around on the fairway that's been fertilized with sewer water. And then, you pick up the golf ball, and you get that stuff on your fingers. It absorbs in your skin. You wipe your nose, get a little bit on your lips or something, and you're exposed to these contaminants. It's crazy. This stuff is all over.
Yeah, and not only that, viruses are not destroyed. Fungi, mold spores, etc., are destroyed. It really is a big deal. How do they contact you if they want to get more information, Bob? And the amazing system, Bev 100, snaps on the tap in a minute, Bev 300 under the counter, whole host system, Bev 200 tackle box. These are the systems. I tell people, so essential. Number is
866-444-9926.
welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report, and we will be joined in a moment with EMILE DeTOFFLE. We're going to talk about how to test your home. The LessEMF equipment is amazing, and I'm just going to summarize what I have. I have the Gigahertz Solutions device that picks up the radiation from the smart meters, picks up the kind of radiation that is giving so many microwatts per square meter, and it determines how frequently that pulse is happening. That's very important if you have a smart meter, switching mode power supply smart meter. It's the most dangerous device that could affect you in terms of your health. The next is a induction cooktop. We talked about this about a month ago. Induction cooktops are extremely dangerous. If you have one in your home, get rid of it. You can measure it if you have a oscilloscope with a magnetometer, electrical and magnetometer device, which can be hooked up to your laptop, so you can actually see the frequency and the energetics of the radiation coming off. Then you can have a triaxial magnetometer that can pick up magnetic fields. Very simple device to actually measure the magnetic field, flux field around your home. The one I like, especially for around the home, for switching mode power supplies, dimmer switches, and dirty electricity if you have bad wiring. Yes, Emil, let's go through the list of equipment you sent me and explain what each does and why it's so useful to pick up the radiation in people's homes. And then we'll talk about other issues in terms of remediation of people's homes from radiation. And I call the Fukushima on your home. Your switching mode power supply, which, by the way, people were surprised at this when I mentioned this to them, that and you may know this as well. Did you know that the Zigbee network, which is a secondary transmission frequency network that communicates between your smart meter and your smart appliances, which are primarily General Electric and some other companies, are contracted to make? Many of these appliances already have the system in it. So when their smart appliance is plugged, even if it's not fully activated in the smart grid system, it is transmitting at 2.4 gigahertz. And people might find that a little bit familiar because it's the exact same frequency as the magnetron inside your microwave. Correct. And that frequency, magnetron basically generates the vibration of water molecules that generate heat. So it literally is turning your kitchen appliances into your kitchen, turning into a microwave. So your cells are constantly being vibrated to raise the disruption of the what's called water bonding. And people should know this: the bonding around your DNA of your cells is water bonding. It's not covalent bonds. It's what's called non-covalent hydrogen bonding. And that non-covalent bonding, if you disrupt it, you disrupt DNA transcription, you disrupt cellular communications, you disrupt enzyme activation, you disrupt the bilaminar cellular membranes, you disrupt what's called the biophysical body or the biophoton array that literally translates your DNA into the structure and function of your cells. That's pretty bad. And this is non-thermal. So what they found, for example, from radiation, and I have some tests that I'm going to be posting up right from the National Library of Medicine, some actual blood tests and genetic polymorphisms that can be used as markers. You sent this a few weeks ago, and you can kind of mention this in a minute. This is pretty neat. What it does is it shows there's biophysical markers, but you can actually biopsy skin or other organs and see micronuclei, which means shattered DNA, the same, this is the word, the same as if you're exposed to Chernobyl or Fukushima, or if you're unfortunate to be on the Ronald Reagan and went through 3 plumes of radiation and are now sick or dying. So, hello, this is not good. And in Europe, what they're doing is the switching mode power supply, smart grid systems, shut off your washer and dryer and said, just like, Seinfeld and the soup Nazis, no washing for you till after 11 p.m. under peak hours of power. I mean, that's how crazy this is. And if people say, Dr. DEAGLE, you're exaggerating. Listen, I have to communicate with John Weigel over in Ireland. I have communication with Dr. Ole Johansson in Sweden. He's beside himself. He's been doing research on electropollution for 45 years at the Karolinska Institute, and recently been harassed there because he's getting into stuff so toxic that shows how bad it is to the entire culture and human species and other life forms like bees and any other living thing. People just don't understand. Living things can't tolerate having their life force signal being jammed. And this is not a minor thing. This is real serious. And I'm sorry to be a harbinger of doom, but it's also a harbinger of positivity. It's saying, this is a problem, it's easily remediated, you can fix it if you identify the problem. So tell us more about this. That's why we're doing a series of these shows, because I got to tell people we are now the gamma testing site for Southern California at Vista, California, for gamma radiation. Cesium-137 is our marker radioisotopes. We're also trying to be the center to tell with our great teacher, EMILE DeTOFFLE, who supplies the best equipment in the world for not only radiation detection, ultraviolet radiation detection, even EVP if you want to contact the dead. I mean, I'm just kidding. But if you really want to find out how to actually measure something, rather than just guessing, they have sources of the best equipment like gigahertz solutions from Germany and elsewhere. So let's go through the list of equipment you gave me and tell the people out there what it's used for and how they can contact you so they can get started with the simple process of identifying and detoxifying their living or workspace.
Beautiful. I'd be happy to. Your newest equipment there is called the Professional Combination Meter. It's by Gigahertz Solution, and it's for measuring both the electric field and the magnetic field for low-frequency electromagnetic fields. So this is the stuff that's coming off your wiring, off your power lines, and off anything that runs on electricity, your lighting, your appliances, and so on. The meter gives you a display right on the meter in terms of a number that you can see. And in addition, it gives a sound so that you can hear both the quality or the frequency of the signal and, of course, the loudness indicates the strength of the signal. So you can walk around with this meter, not even look at it, very quickly sweep around an area and listen for where the sound becomes more intense and less intense, and you'll immediately identify the hot spots in your home or your office, in your car, or anywhere else you want to check. You can take it inside, you can take it outdoors, just don't take it underwater. It doesn't work underwater. So that device there is pure and simple for measuring low-frequency electromagnetic fields. You switch it to magnetic, and you're checking magnetic. You switch it to electric, and you're checking electric. But in Dr. Deagle's case, in addition, he got a spectrum analyzer, which connects up to his computer. So you take this meter, you connect it to the spectrum analyzer, and then from there you go into your computer. Now you can see specific frequency information for the signals that the meter is picking up. Right. So as you take it near your wiring, you'll see a very strong peak at 60 cycles, the 60 hertz electricity that we have here in North America. And then you may also see other frequencies present, and you usually will. There'll be some harmonics, 120, 180, 240 hertz. But then there'll be lots and lots of smaller peaks at much higher frequencies. And the importance of this is that those higher frequencies are much more biologically active. The 60 hertz is bad enough. Your cells don't like that at all. That's what's been associated with the leukemia and the other problems that are associated with electromagnetic field exposure. But the higher frequencies, remember, the energy of a signal is exactly proportional to its frequency. So the higher frequency signals carry more energy and have more biological impact. So with your equipment, you can see exactly what frequencies are present and exactly how strong each one is.
Right. In fact, if you research the signals, it turns out the induction cooktop, electromagnetic induction cooktops have the same frequencies that have been identified to cause leukemia and cancer. To the Nutrimedical report, and let's go through the equipment and how people do it. Now, I asked the question on the break of what do people call EMILE, and to be honest with you, we're not getting the response we should be. What is wrong out there, people? We're putting a lot of shows on to tell you what to do. Why don't you do it? I mean, we have pockets you can put your cell phone in that one side is shielded and the other side's not, so it's in your purse or pocket, won't fry your naughty bits, or your thigh, or your internal organs, your bowel. Why not do it? I mean, why not find out that if you're worried about your smart meter, stop whining and get the equipment like a gigahertz solution to find out. If you point it at your cell phone with the little green antenna, you'll see it surge like crazy as soon as it tries to connect to the tower. If you point it out your smart meter or your neighbor's 200, 300 meters away, or yards away, you're going to go, whoa, my friends or neighbors' smart meter on their garage or on the side of their house is pulsing and blasting back at me. When I tested ours 3 years ago with this gigahertz solution, I was appalled to find out that the smart meter on my neighbor's garage, he's since moved, was pulsing out every 4 to 7 seconds. Not twice a day like the utility tried to tell me, yahoos. And, of course, once I told them that I wasn't a dummy and I had a machine from Germany that could measure it, they were completely nonplussed. And, of course, all I got back was a call from their attorney threatening me. And I threatened him back that I was going to take his car and his house and put him in jail for trying to act as a criminal, along with his board for San Diego Gas and Electric. And then he called back and said, yeah, well, we'll change your meter, but don't tell anybody. So I went on the Rents Network and then on my show. So you got to have attitude. You got to go get facts, which means you need the equipment. And you got to stop whining and saying, running around like Chicken Little with the sky is falling. The sky is falling, but you can stop it. You can wear an umbrella that'll stop the sky from hitting your head. You can get the damn smart meter off. You can find out where your cell phones are. You can block it so that at least, even if it's connecting to the tower, it's not blasting you or the side of your head. Yeah, you can use air tubes. You got air tubes as well, Emile. You can connect to your phone so it doesn't go and carry that signal directly inside your middle ear and your temporal lobe of your brain. But that's why eighth cranial nerve tumors are 300% more likely in people that are sight dominant on the side that they use their cell phone. So if they're a lefty, they're going to get left temporal, eighth cranial nerve, cochlear nerve tumors, or brain tumors in the astroglial cells or the astrogliomas. If they're right dominant, they're going to be on that side. I mean, these are facts that are proven. It's not open to opinion. That's why people say, well, I have my opinion. No, you don't. You have your attitude. There's a whole big difference when we're facing facts. Facts sweep away attitude, and you can opine all you want, but if you don't have facts, you just have attitude, no opinion. Okay? So, you may or may not like that. Too bad, so sad. The facts are you need equipment to measure the radiation, just like measuring gamma rays with a Mueller detector from a highly sensitive device like the Geiger-Miller tubes that are on the Inspector Plus, an expensive, very powerful USB detector specifically designed specifically in our network to pick up gamma rays only. And again, the same way with this equipment. So let's go through some more of the equipment, tell people how to remediate their homes, because at the very least, put up a barrier to your neighbor, get it off your house. Figure out how eventually you can get off the power grid completely, because a lot of it's carried down the power grid from other homes, these switching mode power supplies, into your home from other people's switching mode's power supply, and what's called a mesh network. So it's bouncing like a wave from one house to another, not back to the main tower, but to another home, and there's central big sucker smart meters that then act as a central node to communicate with the tower. So you can have dozens or hundreds of these in an apartment building or in an area of square miles, and you can have literally signals every 4 to 12 seconds firing and blasting at your home from somebody else's smart meter, sending a signal to your home and then on to the next, almost like a set of dominoes. It's crazy.
I agree with you 100% on that. And I want to pick up on two things that you said before we answer that issue. Number one is, interesting new research has come out that, yes, you're very right about cancer developing on the same side where you use the cell phone. The interesting thing is this new study came out showing an epileptic focus on the contralateral, or the opposite side of where you use your cell phone. So if you're using it on the right, you get the epilepsy on the left, and vice versa.
Wow.
So there's a lot to this business of the strength of the signal. There may be, for certain types of illnesses, there may be a certain range of strength that's appropriate for setting off that disease. So a high signal for setting off cancer, for example, and a weaker or a moderate signal for setting off the epilepsy. And so as the signal passes through your brain, it will have a different impact close up as opposed to halfway through and as opposed to all the way through to the other side of the head. Yeah. Very interesting. You want to shield this. You want to not let this get into your head in the first place. The second issue that I want to mention is, people, please do not be putting your cell phone in your shirt pocket, or women, do not put it in your bikini top or in your bra. You're putting it right near the heart, right near the breast tissue, which is very sensitive to this sort of radiation and will cause arrhythmias and breast tumors, breast cancers in both men and women. Do not store your phone in your shirt pocket. Okay, coming back to what you were saying in terms of the equipment you had that you recently acquired with the with the spectrum analysis, the other benefit of the spectrum analysis is you can, with some practice, distinguish where this signal is coming from. So you'll start to see a distinctive pattern, for example, from a dimmer switch, where you'll see a certain range of frequencies present that indicate, yes, this is dimmer switch field emissions. You'll see a different pattern when it's a compact fluorescent bulb. You'll see a different pattern when it's a vacuum cleaner or other sort of a rotating motor. And so with a little bit of experience and with a little bit of practice, you can distinguish out these different types of fields. In addition, the meter you have can pick up all the way up to 100 kilohertz. So to some extent, you can put the meter near your wiring, look at your spectrum analysis for how much dirty electricity you've got there, and how well your dirty electricity filters are removing that. So it's a very versatile and very powerful piece of equipment that you've got there that can help you diagnose what we call the low frequency, that under 100 kilohertz range environment in your home or in your car or at your workplace. And I guarantee you, I don't care who you are, I don't care where you live, you're going to have electromagnetic field issues in your home because our homes are electrified, because our neighbors are electrified, because the power lines in the street are electrified, and the ones under the street. They may be running under the concrete slab in your apartment. They may be running over your head in your attic. You're going to have electromagnetic field issues, and if you're not measuring, you have no chance of doing something about it.
Yeah, you have no idea unless you measure. Yeah, measure is essential.
It is. How would you know if you had high cholesterol? You would have no idea unless you measured for it. And if you don't measure, you won't know. It's the same thing with electromagnetic field issues. So coming back to it, the cell phone and shielding the cell phone, there's many options for reducing your exposure from the microwave radiation. Number one, as Dr. DEAGLE mentioned, when the phone first connects, there's a huge pulse because the phone doesn't know how far it is from the tower. So it puts out a maximum power, full blast signal in its initial handshake with the tower. This initial blast is so strong, you will pick it up with your meter at a great distance. It will, in fact, it overranges the meter that Dr. DEAGLE has.
Right.
Then the phone will go through a sequence of steps in which the signal will go high, will go low, will go high, will go low, and then as you get in, as it's connecting, and then as you get into your conversation, you will see that there are lower level peaks and valleys as you go through the conversation. All of this is microwave radiation, just like what's coming out of your microwave oven, just like what's coming out of your smart meter, just like what's coming out of your new smart appliances, as Dr. DEAGLE mentioned a moment ago. And all of this is having the same impact on the water and on the cell membranes and on the DNA in your body, shaking those molecules, causing breakage in between atoms or between molecules, and causing oxidative stress, causing DNA breaks, and causing all the problems that come with it.
How do they contact you, Emile?
And reduce their exposure.
How do they contact you to get more info? And they should contact you directly, Emile DeTOFFLE at LessEMF. It's 888-LESS-EMF is the contact number, 888-LESS-EMF, or goes for... Welcome back, and just a quick announcement. If you go to the top of our announcements under the Nutrimedical page, it says right under announcements, and notice it says Radiation Network, Gamma Radiation Real-Time Sites USA. If you hit that link, you're going to see a map, and it'll show the 4 active sites right now: Portland, Oregon, Ashland, Oregon, which is where Jeff Rentz's site is, Pacifica, California, that's where David Crane is, and my site, Vista, California. It's all operational and live. It measures only gamma radiation, which is measuring the key isotope cesium-137. It's really important that that site's going to be expanded. We have a site about to come on live in Colorado, and one we're looking at putting up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So these sites will be permanently operational and sending up data, pushing it every 10 minutes. If there's a real elevation in sites, we'll be notifying all the local authorities and federal government, as well as the local people, if there's a major surge in radiation from Fukushima, because we're not getting information at all from our government. They're useless, and that includes the University of California at Berkeley, Nuclear Engineering Department, Dr. Kai Vetter, who was doing excellent work until somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, "We're not going to give you any grants, Dr. Kai, if you continue doing good work." So we had to pick up this stuff and at our own expense set up a radiation site. And it's there. So if you want to see the real data, you can open up that link and you can actually go down and hit the hyperlink for all the main sites there. You can see all the data, Radiation Watch, and you can actually see all the live data being pushed on every site right down to the counts per minute and the graphs. Okay, Bobby, the first thing I tell people, as your immune system gets assaulted by radioisotopes, toxic chemicals, and living in a stressful world, you need to take ALLIMAX. And I can't stress how important it is. If you want to stop vascular disease, do not listen to the toxic docs. There are 3 components you need in order to form vascular disease. nanobacteria, which, by the way, ALLIMAX kills very effectively. It's an antipathogenic. It is not just an antibiotic. It's an antifungal, antiparasitic, anti-spore, antimycosomal, anti-microsomes. It will kill off any form of spudding or branching yeast or fungus, including coccidioidomycosis, aspergillosis, cladosporium, herbarium, or toxoplasma, any form of toxoplasmosis, spirochete, everything from Lyme disease, babesiosis, every form of tuberculosis, every major pathogen. In fact, I honestly think our special forces, all military, are foreign people like in the Green Zone in Iraq. It would be essential, I think, that every one of them should be taking at least 1 or twice a day an ALLIMAX. I mean, our troops are going to be exposed to the poor man's nuke, which is a bioweapon, and every day they're exposed to just bad bugs and living in these areas. It's a pretty filthy place to go to some of these places where you're exposed to pathogens that are standard fare, which is chikungunya, malaria, toxoplasmosis, schistosomiasis, which, by the way, causes bladder cancer. It's the number 1 cancer in Saudi Arabia, is bladder cancer caused by the Schistosomium hematobium parasites that burrows into the bladder wall. And guess what? ALLIMAX kills the sucker. When people have fungal infections from yeast, a birth control pill, diabetes, guess what? ALLIMAX kills it. And if you want to have yeast, this is bad stuff. I mean, yeast creates toxic bioproduct chemicals. It creates all kinds of nasties that can screw up your day and ruin your health. And it does it in subtle and not so subtle ways. So, Bobby, tell us more about ALLIMAX. We have the capsules, the drops, and we have the liquid, the liquid drops, and we have the cream. We also have the ALLIMED, which these are powerful. They're prescriptions in Britain, in Australia, in all across Europe. It's a prescription. Your doctor has to write a script, but not here in North America. You can just go and dial Dr. Bill at 888-212-8871. Go online and we'll order it. And by the way, we ship free. So you can get this stuff free to yourself, and we have specials all the time. And we have super specials on the 7 for Heaven sale, which is even 7% on top of our previous sale price. You get the sale price plus free shipping, plus 7% more savings. So you can't beat it. So tell us all about ALLIMAX and why literally people are, as they say in the old sales pitch, they're crazy if they don't take it daily.
I agree with that statement. An ALLIMAX today is going to keep the doctor away, is what I say, or even out of the ICU. I mean, if you don't want to get sick and you're trying to stay away from some bad bugs and or, just common colds, flus, allergies, little simple stuff, then you're talking about, taking 1 pill per day and protecting your body. The ALLIMAX capsules are 180 milligrams stabilized allicin. You guys also have the ALLIMED capsules, which are the 450 milligram pills. And between, one of those, it's like there are 2 different price points, but between the 2 of them, it's like you should be able to afford one or the other. This product is so amazing. You can get it, from Nutrimedical, like you stated, but it's not comparable to a typical garlic that you're going to see, on the shelves at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. We're selling stabilized allicin. ALLIMAX is not garlic. Don't be confused by it. It's not, the same as Kyolic. It's not the same as a garlic oil macerate. I mean, it's a completely different formula. So if you're looking for, the antimicrobial and the good part of garlic that people say is beneficial to your health, then you need to get the ALLIMAX or the ALLIMED products.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been, you know that. I know this. I take them, for maintenance myself. I've been taking, the ALLIMAX for 10 years, as long as I've been been accustomed to it and or been selling it, and it's a life-saving product. It's something that you don't want to leave home without if you're going on an airplane or going to your kid's school for the day, or a daycare center, and going to visit your parents if they potentially live in an elderly home. I mean, bugs and viruses and bacteria are all over, and who wants to be sick? I know
Exactly.
that I certainly don't. And then you can also throw in the other forms that we have, like you had mentioned, the liquid. So if you have, pets, you can give it to your pets in their pet food. You can put it in their water. You could also put it in eyes and ears or a nebulizer if you need to. I mean, there's so many so many uses for this product that it's just, it's hard to even wrap your brain around it, is what I try to say.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, let me go ahead and tell, just to give you kind of the blast through them. Number one, if you got what's called tinea capitis, which is a tinea ovale fungus, you're going to go bald, and you're going to end up with inflammation of the barbae, the hair follicles. So you can stop that. External otitis, sinus infections, chronic eye infections, including people who are diabetic that may even grow toxoplasmosis in their eye. Chronic periodontal disease, brush your teeth with the ALLIMAX liquid. Kill off the nanobacteria, get good breath. Down your throat, chronic yeast infections in the throat. Someone who's been infected by radiation, they have chronic diabetic, or they've had some chemotherapy, their immune system shot, so they got mouth infections, or they have HIV. They've got an immune system so shot, they've got a mouth full of fungus. In fact, I remember seeing a 12-year-old who never had a blood transfusion and never had sex, but he had terminal AIDS because he was involved with a voodoo ceremony in Georgia where they were drinking not only turkey blood and a voodoo ceremony with spices and so on, but also the blood of other members participating in the voodoo ceremonies, including people with AIDS. So he was basically dying of AIDS at 12 years of age. And he had yeast all through his mouth. Well, guess what? We can knock out the yeast. Or birth control pill, or diabetes, or anything. Then we work down the stomach. Gastroesophageal reflux disease, which can cause esophageal cancer. Kill off the Helicobacter pylori in your stomach or esophagus. Dysbiosis of the gut. ALLIMAX every day. I saw a new drug out. I can't believe it. I'm going to pull my hair out. Another drug called Lin something or other. I don't even want to mention the whole name. And these maniacs have another stupid drugs to say, the reason why you have irritable bowel and chronic constipation is you just have a deficiency of this drug. You mean you were born without that drug in you? What's your problem? How come you don't have the drug in you? Well, guess what? ALLIMAX is a natural molecule. It's an extract of garlic. It's a stabilized by a natural process that means it kills all these bad pathogenic bacteria, fungi, yeast, etc. that make your gut leaky and make you allergic, etc. Then we worked our way down. Chronic osteomyelitis of the bone, if you've got bone infections. Chronic inflammation of your joints. Chronic irritable bowel syndrome, where there's a gut dysbiosis. Chronic pelvic infections, where people have chronic, chlamydia or gonorrhea or some other pathogen. Chronic foot infections, web spaces in diabetics. Chronic skin sores and ulcers. Chronic dermatitis. Every single one of these conditions, including foot fungus, you can literally take it by mouth and you can say, my gosh, I didn't apply that to my toenails. How come my toenails look so great? You were taking it by mouth for the last 3 months. It's no wonder your toes look great. So you go to the podiatrist, you go to get your nails done, you say, where do you get those good nails? I want the same stuff. And you say,
absolutely.
I listen to Bobby Walton.
And I take ALLIMAX.
Yeah, exactly. And I take ALLIMAX. There you go.
There you go.
I'll tell you. Amazing stuff, isn't it?
It certainly is amazing, and everybody needs to take theirs. Fungus, cold, flu, bacteria, maintenance, prevention. That's all you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So get yours today.
Yeah, Bobby, next week we have times on Tuesday at 3:30 and 3:45. John, can you cut the commercial, please? I think you can hear the commercial there, right?
Yeah.
Just a second. Yeah, let me see if I can get him to cut the commercial. Because I can hear him jabbering. Commercials. A second.
I can take Tuesday.
Okay.
That's fine.
Tuesday at 3:30 or 3:45. What do you want?
3:30.
Bobby. On Wednesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 3:30, right?
They've been available since 1986, yet the financial...
But it's on Canada Day.
Canada Day?
Yeah, where they invented Canada.
Okay.
The communist empire to the north. That's why their flag's red. I know, I live there.
Right.
If you open your mouth too wide and disabuse more than your quota of people, you get to go to the big house.
2237.